Welcome to the Multifamily Zone, where business meets family. We explore what the entrepreneur life looks like from the family perspective. Now here are your hosts, Julia and Gino Barbaro.
Hey everyone, this is Julia Barbaro, host of the Multifamily Zone podcast. I'm here with the co-founder of Jake and Gino, my husband and co-host Gino Barbaro.
Hey, Jewel.
Hey, Gino.
How you doing today?
Good.
What's today's topic?
So we wanted to talk about supporting each other. And I know we talk about that a lot, but it's really important. We've had a couple of people reach out to us about it, and I think it's something we need to go over.
Mike P. from the Jake and Gino community, thanks for this week's topic, because sometimes we forget how important supporting each other really is. If I have the support of my wife and she believes in me wholeheartedly, I'm going to take that opportunity. I'm going to make the more out of it. In this book, Limitless, I'm just going to put it up for all you YouTubers out there. Limitless by Jim Quick. He really talks about it. If you believe in yourself, man, you can really achieve a lot. But if you have somebody else believing in you, your significant other believing in you, wow, the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm. And it's so true because, you know, in our situation, I'm home, I'm with the kids, I'm taking care of them, I'm cooking, I'm doing all that. He's busy working. And we both need that support. And I've talked to a lot of people, and sometimes it's, you know, more on one side than the other. Some days I'm doing fine. The kids are a little bit older. My life gets a little bit easier. And maybe he's busier at work and I need to give him more support. So it's kind of like an ongoing, you kind of figuring it out as you go. And there's never I got it figured out, I don't have to try anymore. It's just an ongoing effort.
And this is something you have to figure out as you progress in life. I can give you a few examples of how I supported my wife early on. It didn't start out as support. It started out as doubt and really, we're doing this? The first example that I can really think of is when we got married, the babies started sleeping with us. We wanted to put them in a crib, and that's just what I thought you do, right? And all of a sudden, Julia comes and goes, I want to sleep with the baby. I'm like, huh? And, you know, you tell everyone, and, you know, everyone out there has got their own ideas and their own thoughts and making me peer pressure. And I'm like, I don't know if we should do it. But then ultimately I said, you know what? Okay, let's try it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You know?
I'm laughing because your memory is a little different than mine.
I remember it exactly
that
way.
It's a good story.
20 years later, kids are still sleeping with us. So I guess it all worked out. But I did support her because I could have said, no, I don't want to do it. It's just, I'm afraid for the kids. You know, obviously you have to be very careful. I never drink. I'm not on any prescription medication. We don't sleep in the corner. I mean, so obviously we're very healthy and we have really good sleep habits. And my wife wakes up at a drop of a dime. So that being said, we're really healthy. But for us, it's actually been an amazing transformation for us because for me at least, we'll wake up in the morning, the kids are there, we joke around. It's just an awesome way to start the morning.
Well, I have to just add something in because it's important. And I, you know, we did have a disagreement about it, and we did do the crib thing for a little while. But what happened, what changed, I should say, is that he saw me get up many, many times during the night to feed the baby, and the exhaustion and, you know, tiredness. And at one night, he's like, you know what, it's okay. Because he and that's my point, is that we're always figuring out our relationship. We're always trying it out. It's not working. Okay, I see you struggling. Let me give you more support. Maybe let me, you know, change my opinion or try something new. And that's what's important. It's not just a decision making. You know, you have to go with what's going on.
Well, in all honesty, I couldn't get up and feed the baby.
That's
because
right. We know that.
So it's not like I can say, hey, I'll do it tonight. And
but you saw me struggling.
Yes.
And that's what I want to make clear. And that's with everything, is that, you know, when we talk about something and we disagree, but you see the other party struggling, you're like, you know what, let me just give it a try.
Mm-hmm. I think I should have even backtracked it before then. When we got married, one of the things I supported her with was she went to go get her cosmetology license, and we did some college, and she went and got some college done. I paid for it all.
And all of it. What the heck?
See, I just remembering things a little
The
different.
memories, it's so different. Let's have a whole podcast on that, okay?
And so she goes out and she goes to a place to start working. She lasted literally everybody 8 hours at the job. One day.
It was longer. No, hold on. It was probably 12 hours.
Okay. Like I'm saying, like details, 8 hours, 12 hours. I paid for it all. I paid for 92% of it. Basically, I paid for the majority. And what was great about it was I want her to stay home. I want her to stay home and start the family. We had just gotten married. We didn't have any kids. And she's like, you know what? I want to go to work. And I said, fine. And then she went to the restaurant. But then once we started having kids, her idea was like, you know what? I don't want to do daycare. Can I stay home with the kids? I'm like, sure. That's why I have a business. That's why I'm working all these hours. So I supported her on that, because I could have said, you know what? I spent all this money on college and getting your degree, and now you're not using it. So just that instance,
Hey,
just
it
supporting.
benefits you now, right?
Yeah, but back
You
then,
get a lot of haircuts. All the kids
yes.
get a lot of haircuts.
Yes, but back then, you have to think about it.
Yes.
Back then,
No, I hear
we were
you.
just married. We were trying to save to buy a house. Where
Mm-hmm.
money's tight when you
Sure.
first get married. So for me, I could have said, you know what,
Yeah.
you've got to go to work, and drop off the baby with your mom and go to work. And we did it for a little bit, and we both didn't enjoy it. And obviously, she struggled with it. So I'm like, you know what, well, kibosh.
And that's important what you're saying, because, when we first get married or we're first in a relationship, we're just having little kids, it thing we always think, oh, this is how we're going to do it. And we make the decision, and then we hold ourselves to it, even though it's not working. And so I just encourage everyone, if something's not working, it's okay to change. It's okay to try something different. And it's okay to, talk about it with each other and say, you know what, I think me staying home is actually really, I have a really great piece about it. And I think I want to continue that. I think we talked about that before. So that's important, to keep that communication open.
I got more of them. So I don't know about you.
We have a lifetime
I've
of
got my
stories.
list here. The next one, which is really, I think I gave in here, especially talking about the times and having a family that was really like, I don't know what the word is, but and I don't want to say judgmental. It was just a different thing. We decided to have babies at home. We got married, decided to do home births. And ironically enough, I ended up asking my mom, where were you born? She was born in Italy. She goes, well, it's different. I was born at home. I'm like, yeah, well, can you try it for me? And for me, it was such a foreign idea, and thinking that it was going to be more dangerous at home and all of that, overwhelming. But ultimately, the reason why I said, you know what, you're going to do it, is that my wife, and I think everyone out there needs to understand this. You have to own a decision like that. My wife owned it. She was really healthy. She took care of her health. She went to all the checkups. This is what she wanted. She wanted to have a natural birth. This is what she dreamed of. So for me to say, you know what, no, we're not going to do that. That would really have been crushing to her. And then she'd have that, that birth that she didn't desire. I may not have 6 kids today. So, right? I mean, like, if you really stop and think about it, yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, let's do this. And once we decided to do it, it was actually an amazing experience.
It was. Yeah. It's interesting because, just we're talking about supporting each other, and, we both have different dreams. We all, in every relationship, you have a different dream. You have a different idea. Maybe one of, I don't know, maybe one of us is stronger than another in different areas in life. And that's important too. So, to take everything and make decisions based on, even when we're younger, we make the decision, and we grow so much, especially in a relationship. And so to take each situation and pay attention to it and make the decision at the time, instead of, when we were younger, we decided this, so we have to stick to it. Just go with it.
Did I remember that memory properly, or did I mess
It's
that
okay. It's okay.
Crystal clear. That's how it was.
Okay. It was a little off, but it's all right. Yeah.
See,
I'll give that one to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's going to give me that one,
Yeah.
everybody. I think another thing that everyone out there, if you become a parent, or if you are a parent right now, what is your parenting style? If you haven't had any kids yet, maybe this is a time to start talking about it, because this is where you're going to have to support each other. Because I came from a background of my mom being a very strict disciplinarian. And I remember when I had my first child, and she's like, you can't let her get away with that. And the way they parented our generation is a lot different than the way our parents parented. And I remember her saying, you can't let her get away with that. And, a little corporal punishment. And it was hard for me. And I tried to do that. And we talked about parenting styles. And then I started supporting what my wife did, more of, open, honest, being able to talk to the kids and not jump to conclusions and not be so rough with them. And for me, it was awesome, because you create a different kind of relationship. You don't want to have a relationship out of fear with your children. You want to have one out of love and have one out of respect, and make sure that they come to you. Obviously, you need to create boundaries. You need to create fences around where they can stay within. But for me, our parenting skills changed a lot, and my wife was a big factor in that.
Yeah, our parenting skills changed because we allowed them to. And that's important because, we go into something assuming, maybe we read a book or we have our parents to tell us what to do. But when we go into it and, you have a child, it's like, wow, you're learning something and you don't even know how to do it because, there is no book on it. And it's just kind of trial and error. And it's just, you're not sure what to do. But the support that you have next to you, your spousal support is so important because that's really the way to succeed, right? Because half the time you're going to, wow, I shouldn't have done it that way. We think about from the first child to the last, we parented them pretty much the same, but very different. I think we worried a lot in the beginning, which is normal. And that's okay. And that's just what it is, because you're not sure what to do half the time. And I'm still not sure, but the point is my husband is there to back me up. And that is so important.
So for us, that was my side. And I think for her side, it must have been hard for my wife to have me go to work on the weekends, to have me go to work during the holidays. And she could have said to me, you really got to take off. We really have to go out tonight. Or, we have to go to this wedding. You can't go to work. Or it's holidays. You can't go to work. And she never did that. She always supported me because she knew that it was a lot of pressure. I worked a lot of hours. It was really difficult. And it's almost as if it's not like I wanted to be there. I obviously wanted to be with my family, but I had priorities. So that was really hard. It was really difficult.
Yeah, that's something I want to actually bring up is, my grandfather, he was he was an super Irish tough guy. You know what I mean? He was a football coach. He was all that. And so we had a big Irish family and we'd get together all the time. And it was like Tuesday afternoon and everyone was over. I don't know what they did for work half the time. And but my husband was never there. And my grandfather would say to me, he would say, "Where's your husband?" And I'm like, and he's like, "Is he working?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Good, that's where he should be." I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. But that's just what it was. I knew that. I knew my husband needed to work. And I didn't expect him to come running home if I needed help with the kids. I figured it out. I knew he was at work figuring it out, and I supported him with that. And I also expected him to support me as watching the children and taking care of the children. And let me tell you, there were some really difficult times with that. There are times where I would rather have worked many, many hours in the day than staying home because it's painfully boring. You talk to no one because the kids don't even talk to you back when they're little. And it's exhausting. It's like you're always awake. You're never sleeping. There's a lot to it. But that is a short amount of time. And when I look back at it now, I'm like, it really went by quickly. It was really difficult, but it was so worth it.
So let's transition into when I decided to get out of the restaurant and go into coaching and go into real estate. Now that was 80 hours a week. I mean, I was working a lot. I was off a couple of days a week from the restaurant, but those days were filled with coaching calls. Those days were filled with going down to the city to do classes. Those days were filled with doing podcasts, calling brokers, doing deals.
So in other words, working more.
Yes, working more.
I want to get there. Yeah.
Yes, no,
That's important.
I'm building it up.
That's
I'm obviously building up because you could have said to me, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not doing that. You're off. You either choose one or the other. So what made you decide to say, you know what? Hey, go for it.
That's really important. I saw the bigger picture. My husband explained to me very simply. He's like, if we make it to multifamily and become financially free, here's what it looks like. And it was a lot of together time, him working from home, weekends off, if that's what you choose, a lot of vacation time whenever we wanted. Just, it was a freedom. It was a freedom that we didn't have. And it was also opportunity to do really great things for other people, which to me was huge. I almost feel like that was even more important than what I just said, because to help other people is so rewarding and I love it.
So for me, I want all of you out there to paint a picture of what that looks like to you. For me, we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now if I didn't work all those extra hours and my wife didn't support me. There'd be no way that I could do it because I'd feel guilty. I wouldn't have my whole heart and my whole energy into it. And honestly, the fact that she gave me all that support, I couldn't let her down. So I had to work extra hard. So I didn't have one foot in. I had both feet in, working really hard. in my mind, I mentally burned the ships. I said, I'm not going back. I'm going to put everything I can into it. And for us, it gave us a life of abundance. And even if we didn't become financially free
Mm-hmm.
and we're still at the restaurant, we're working towards goals. We're working
Yeah.
together as a family. And it was so much fun. And, all of you out there that are struggling in between the spouses and one of them saying, you're working too much, or, this real estate thing doesn't work. Paint the picture. Let them know what you think real estate will do for you. For me, ultimately, I don't even know if I've shared this with my wife. I've been really reflecting the last few days upon the COVID-19 and being in New York. I ultimately didn't want to go to work angry or mad or not wanting to go. I wanted to have my children see that I love working,
Mm-hmm.
to see that I actually happy to work, and to see that we can make a lot of money by helping a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And having that abundance mentality, not the scarcity mentality that I had at the restaurant, but having that abundance mentality and saying, hey, dad's going to work. Have fun, dad. Well, you know what? Mike, Sophs, Gabs, I'm going to have fun today because it's awesome. I didn't want to have the drudgery of it. And that's how it felt like to me for the restaurant. And when I started doing real estate, that's when I just enjoyed it. It was my passion in that. And also it led to my purpose. So if you're out there
Mm-hmm.
as a husband or a wife and you're trying to communicate to your spouse or to your partner, think about your passion. What are you passionate about? What do you really like to do? And that will give you purpose. So I thought that was awesome.
It's so important. And, it's one of those moments where you have to step back. And it's important for me at the time. I had to step back and see my husband, not so happy. He would go to work, he would come home, and it was the same mopey face. And I hated it. I really did. And I wanted so much more from him. And just so you know, he was doing good things when we had the restaurant. He doesn't say that a lot, but he was feeding a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of charity stuff going on. And I want to just put that out there, because sometimes we're like, well, when we get financially free or when we get into the real estate, then I'll start helping. But he was always helping for sure. And I just want to give you that.
Thanks.
Because that was important. But the thing is that I'm looking at him and I'm noticing him, and I want the best for him, right? We want the best for the people we love, of course. But what are we going to do about it? Are we going to say, well, what about me? I could have sat there and said, but what about me? I'm sitting home with the kids. I'm watching them all the time. Here you are working full time. You're never home. And now you want to take on something else. And that's very common. That's a very common thought. It's very valid. And, at the time I thought, but the bigger picture, look at the bigger picture further on. Let's just get through it. We're going to do our best. I'm going to do my best with the kids. If I need to get help, I'll call my mother. There's always someone out there that could give you a little bit of a hand. Even if it's someone coming in and washing, cleaning the house, washing the laundry, doing the laundry, something to help out that person at home with the little kids is so helpful. That is like the biggest gift I think you can give someone, because that is overwhelming in itself. And then you have little kids on top of that. But it's putting yourself aside for a minute. Let's give him the opportunity. And I feel like I'm actually completely free right now. And it's really, really rewarding. And I'm so thankful that I did it.
But we both made sacrifices in a lot of instances, right? I worked really hard. You stayed at home. We never went on vacation without the kids. It's not really a sacrifice, but a lot of people out there would say, I can't believe you guys never went away by yourselves. That's a sacrifice, because I worked a lot, but so I wanted to spend my vacations with the family. So, I mean, we all have choices to make, and that was one of my values. And that's what I want my wife really to speak about, values. How can you use your values to be able to link it to supporting your spouse?
Well, I mean, the values is what is important to me, and how, what do I hold dear, right? What is super important to me? And if family is, then you have to line your lifestyle up with that. So Gino wasn't going, I mean, once in a while he'd go out with his friends, but it wasn't like, every weekend. It was when he was off, he was hanging out with his family. And so he showed me that he was living according to his values. And that is really important. So if we did a podcast on values, and it's really important to maybe go back and listen to it, and get an idea of what your values are, and does your life line up with those. It's so important, because it's so much easier to make decisions based on that.
And so share your values with your spouse also. Make sure that you're on the same page. That's really important also. So for us, it was family. I mean, I remember I'd wake up before I go into work, and I would homeschool the kids in the morning, sit down and hang out with them, because I had less time to do other things. So I spent quality time in the morning with all of them, and hang out in the schoolroom, and spending time before I went to work. And then during the day, they'd come in at the restaurant and we'd have lunch together, or we'd hang out together. So it was really, a whole affair with,
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with the
Yeah,
family.
you got to get creative, right? When in different areas of your life, they're just so different. When I think back to when the kids were all little, like we had to do everything differently. And once they grew up, we changed it. And that's what I'm saying. Just keep it open. Say,
Hmm.
you know what, this isn't working like it was. Let's change a little bit. So it's so important to be that line of communication between your spouse is so important, because just kind of get together every once in a while and say, remember how it used to be? It's not really like that anymore. What should we change?
Hmm.
And go with that and talk to each other. And if something's bothering you, maybe you're not in a good place, just tell your spouse. Sometimes we just forget that we have to actually talk to them. Right?
And on that note, let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsors.
Is your money working as hard as you are? At RAM Partners, we partner with hardworking investors who are seeking true passive income through multifamily real estate. Partnering with RAND means transparent communication with our webinars, monthly statements, and newsletters. For more information, visit randpartners.com to register for our investor portal and to set up a call with our team.
And we're back. We got a great couple of questions from Dan this week, and we want to share them with you.
I just want to say something. Dan sent me this amazing. Did I cut you off?
Well, everyone out there, it's really funny. She just said we have to listen to our spouses, and she does the opposite.
I do.
Isn't it
I
great?
know. I just was excited because Dan had sent me this amazing email. And I just want to tell you all out there, if you have a story to tell me, I would love to hear it. I love hearing people's amazing story. And he and his wife, they adopted a child 5 years ago, and a little boy. And also they adopted a child back in January. And so it's 5 months old, and they're pregnant, and they're due in like a month from now. So,
Let's be clear. She's pregnant.
so she's pregnant. And it was just such an amazing story. And the question he had, the thought of that is overwhelming to me. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm going back in time for a second. My little motherly advice is they will grow up. And I was told that once years and years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I don't believe you. I really don't, because I feel like this part in life will never, ever end. I will never sleep again, but I promise you it will happen. So go ahead, Gino.
What's the questions?
So the question was, how do you keep making it happen when you have other priorities in the family, especially at home? And in this situation, I mean, his priorities are pretty heavy.
So maybe in the beginning, you might have to sleep a little less. You really, honestly, you have to prioritize and execute. It's the one thing. It's really, maybe you can't go out at nighttime with your friends drinking. Maybe you can't go out and do hobbies for a little while. I used to love to do gardening. It was hard to garden while I had little kids. Maybe when the kids got older, they could do it with me.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of time on my hobbies. I like to play tennis. After this podcast, I'm going to go play tennis with one of my kids. I like to ride bikes. I like to go to the beach. I like to go fishing. A lot of the hobbies that I do, I'll incorporate it with my kids and my family. But honestly, making it happen, you have to figure out what your why is. If your why is your family, then you have to figure out how to do it. It's just that simple. And we aren't born with motivation. We do motivation. We are motivated by our goals and by our reason why. And for me, it's really simple. I wanted to give my kids a better life. I had great role models. My parents came from Italy. They had basically nothing coming here. They gave me a great life. So I felt it was incumbent upon me to do the same as my parents did to me. A happy, safe, healthy household, teach them great values, spend time with them, take them on vacations, and have a great time with them. So that is what fuels me to keep making it happen, focusing on them and going to work. And work is hard, but I always think at the end of the day, when I'm coming home, it's all worth it for something.
Yeah, and on my end, it's important for me, or even the wives, because you're having the children. If I'm giving my husband a hard time because I need help, but he's also obligated to work because we have to make money, it's a hard balance, and sometimes we're not sure how to handle it, because we feel guilty to say, I need your help. Can you please stay home? But at the same time, you need to work. And it's like, well, how do we do that? What do we do? And in that situation, it's really hard, and you have to have that conversation. And sometimes we just have to say, you know what, I'll figure it out. And I've done it before many times. We do figure it out. the mothers will figure out how to take care of the many children, as little as they are. There's always someone out there where you can get a mother's helper just to come in for a couple hours a day and give you a hand. But we always figure it out somehow. It always works out in the end, I promise you. For me, I had to support that he had to work, and I knew that. And but some days they were just like, I don't even know how I'm going to get through this day, and I would have my little kids get little chores, even 5 years old, they can do little chores, even getting diapers, and it sounds little, but it keeps them busy. It keeps them occupied. You got to get creative about maybe waking up a little bit early, even though you didn't sleep at nighttime, and maybe prepare food or just something. There's always little things that we could get better organized. Or even there's always someone, like I said before, just to help out. And it kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier, with that support, because sometimes too, maybe our wives out there just need to know that your husband is supporting them, calls them during the day and say, how you doing? Sometimes that's all we need.
So I think there is what's the word that I want to say? When people have a work-life balance, there's no such thing as a work-life balance. And you're never going to have balance in your life, because sometimes you just need to work more, and sometimes you're going to spend more time with the family. So try to enjoy doing both. When you're at work, focus on work. When you're at home, focus at home. When you're with your kids, focus with your kids. When you're with your wife or your husband, focus on that time. And don't worry about getting that work-life balance, because it's really, really, I still don't have work-life balance right now either, because some days I may work till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It changes. And then on the weekends, I may have to fly out. Josh, that's on you, Josh. Keep me home a little bit more. But it's just the way it is. So I try to incorporate my family as much as possible. A couple of them right now are working with us, and they're becoming life coaches themselves. So I'm incorporating a lot of stuff we're doing so we can spend more time together. So that's how work-life balance. If you're having a great life and you love what you're doing, you don't even think about work-life balance. Like right now, I don't think about, I need to spend. It just happens naturally, because I love what I'm doing. I love working. That's what I want out of my life.
Unless you don't have sleep.
Well, you need sleep. Yes. Well, I mean, yeah. But I mean, here, that's the king of sleep. My wife needs sleep. If she doesn't get sleep, woo.
That's what my daughter, she's like, you've been so calm lately.
That's the trick,
sleeping.
huh? So,
Yeah.
Let's give everyone some tasks.
Well, the question I have for everyone out there, and this is for you to ask your spouse, your partner, whoever else in your life, is how can I support you? Because a lot of the times, and I know between husband and wives too, if they have little kids, maybe the husband or the wife, maybe the husband assumes that the wife wants hands-on help, but sometimes they just want emotional help. They just want emotional support. And that actually means a lot to us.
So what I want you all out there to do is I want you to convey to your significant other, what do you want to do? Sometimes it's as simple as that, telling them what you want to do. And don't tell them, you can explain to them about your goals and you want financial freedom and all, but what you could say that'll really impress them is, I want to attain this, but it's not the attainment of this goal or this financial freedom. It's the person that I'm going to become to get to that goal or to get to that financial freedom. I'm going to become a better, more well-rounded person to get to that goal.
Yeah. And it's important, the we word, right? This is for us.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
yeah.
I'm
not talking about what you just said.
Yeah, I have to get to there. You're supporting me, but I want to grow to be that person.
Yeah.
And if you're not supporting me, I can't do it by myself.
Yeah, because in our situation, when my husband was miserable for those many years, and it just from work, he wasn't like that when he was home with the kids, definitely not. But I saw it through work. It does have an impact on me. It has an impact on the kids. And so that makes a difference. That kind of gives the family life a little bit, there's something not right. And so that big change that we made, and the kids saw that, and they see him, more satisfied in life and happier, and we all feel it. And that's so important. So that's why it's really important to be open to each other, honest to each other, and say, here's where I need help, and here's where I can help you. What do you think? Because a lot of times we want to help someone, but we it's wrong. Like, that's not what they need. And we don't even ask them. We just assume, right? It's always like, you're not even asked for the help, but you want to offer it. Mm-hmm. So it's so important to keep that open, that communication open.
So that's the other task. Write down your goals with your spouse or your partner, and see how you can work towards getting those goals, and share your goals. Your goals may be a little different, but share them and try to support each other going towards those goals.
Yeah.
We want to thank you all for taking part of the time out of your day to spend with us and with the Jake and Gino family. And until next time, keep sending those emails to juliabarbaro@gmail.com. We'll see you soon, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.